Stop for a moment and picture a man who believes his success is unshakable, so sure of his own charm that he walks into a meeting with his secret companion beside him, convinced no one will ever question him. That man is Adrian Hale, a rising executive who thinks the world bends when he speaks. Today is supposed to be his victory. A promotion, a breakthrough deal, a moment where everyone in the boardroom finally sees him as the visionary he imagines himself to be. What he doesn't know is that the person who will truly command the room isn't him, and certainly not the woman clinging to his arm. As Adrian straightens his jacket, he doesn't notice how forced his smile looks. He doesn't notice the curious stares from his colleagues as he proudly escorts his young assistant to the head of the table. He only sees himself, confident, admired, unstoppable. Yet something in the air feels different, a quiet ripple of anticipation he mistakes for excitement. The door handle clicks. Conversations fall silent. Adrian's fingers freeze mid-gesture. No one is prepared, not the board members, not the assistant gripping his sleeve, and least of all Adrian himself, when the woman he left behind steps inside wearing the calm certainty of someone who no longer asks for permission to be powerful. His billionaire wife has arrived, and every eye shifts to her. Adrian's heartbeat thudded louder than the ticking clock on the wall as his wife, Serena Hale, walked into the boardroom with the quiet elegance of someone who didn't need to announce her authority. She didn't look at him first. She didn't need to. Her presence alone reshaped the energy in the room. Executives straightened instinctively, whispers silenced themselves, and even Adrian's assistant shifted uncomfortably beside him, sensing a storm she was never warned about. Serena offered a polite nod to the team before taking the seat reserved for the highest-ranking individual, the one Adrian believed he was supposed to impress today. Only now did he realize the truth he had never bothered to ask. The new majority investor, the decision-maker behind every restructuring move, the unseen force shaping the company's direction, was his own wife. He swallowed hard, but Serena finally turned her gaze toward him. Her eyes held no anger, no desperation to be understood, just a calm certainty that terrified him more than confrontation ever could. "Thank you all for joining," she said smoothly. "Today marks a new chapter. One we will build with clarity, integrity, and accountability." Adrian tried to smile, but her words hit him like a quiet warning. Accountability. Clarity. Two things he never expected to face in this room. And as Serena opened the first slide of the presentation, one he wasn't prepared for, he sensed for the first time that the real meeting had just begun, and it wasn't the one he thought he controlled. Adrian leaned forward, trying to steady his breathing as Serena advanced to the next slide, one displaying numbers he had never seen, projections that dismantled the strategy he'd spent months polishing. It felt deliberate, almost surgical, the way each figure contradicted his assumptions. He opened his mouth to speak, but Serena continued without acknowledging him, as if he were just another employee in the room. The executives listened intently, impressed by her precision and the confidence woven through every word. Even Adrian's assistant shifted deeper into her chair, shrinking under the realization that they had both misread the terrain entirely. Then Serena paused, letting the silence settle over the room like a veil. "Before we proceed," she said softly, "there is someone whose recent decisions require immediate review." Her calmness made the tension even sharper. Adrian stiffened, unsure whether to appear composed or concerned. His assistant subtly removed her hand from his arm. The room waited, not for him but for her. Serena tapped the screen, and a new slide appeared with a list of approvals, unauthorized expenses, and timelines that led unmistakably to Adrian. Not accusations, facts. Structured, undeniable, and presented with the elegance of someone who never raises their voice to make a point. Adrian's pulse pounded in his ears as he watched months of hidden choices unravel in seconds. He forced a laugh, hoping someone, anyone, would join him. No one did. Because everyone sensed it, Serena wasn't here to embarrass him. She was here to reveal a truth he thought she'd never see. And she was just getting started. A faint tremor slipped into Adrian's hands as the next slide appeared, this one revealing patterns so precise it was impossible to call them coincidences. Serena didn't look at him, she didn't need to. Her calm, steady tone carried more weight than any raised voice ever could. "These irregularities," she said, "point to decisions made without proper oversight. Decisions that placed the company at risk." Her gaze moved slowly across the table, meeting each executive's eyes with assurance. When she finally rested her eyes on Adrian, the pause was long enough to expose everything he tried to hide. He cleared his throat, desperate to regain control. "Serena, Mrs. Hale, I believe there's been a misunderstanding. My team and I." Your team, she echoed, glancing briefly at the woman beside him, was never authorized to act independently on matters of this scale. The assistant's cheeks flushed as she lowered her gaze, realizing she had stepped into a room far beyond her reach. Adrian tried to stand, but Serena gently raised a hand, stopping him with nothing more than composure. Before you speak, remember something important, she said softly. Clarity reveals character. And today I want character to speak louder than excuses. The executives watched silently, sensing they were witnesses to a shift no one could reverse. Adrian felt as though the walls were closing in, each breath more difficult than the last. He looked at Serena, searching for a hint of softness, a memory of the woman who once waited up for him. But what he saw instead was a leader reclaiming a space she had always deserved. And the worst part? She still hadn't revealed the most shocking truth she had brought with her. A stillness settled over the boardroom, the kind that presses against the ribs and makes every breath feel borrowed. Adrian's throat tightened as Serena clicked to the next slide. This one wasn't numbers, projections, or documents. It was a single photograph. A candid image taken months ago showing Adrian and his assistant entering a quiet restaurant together, far from the company's usual dinner spots. The angle was discreet, the timestamp clear, and the implications immediate. A murmur swept across the table, subtle but unmistakable. His assistant's face drained of color as she stared at the image, her hands clasping tightly in her lap. Serena didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Personal choices often spill into professional decisions, she said gently, as though she were teaching a lesson rather than exposing a truth. And when personal decisions compromise integrity, the entire organization pays the price. Her calmness made every word slice deeper. Adrian felt heat rush to his face as he forced out, "This isn't relevant to the meeting." He tried to laugh but the sound cracked halfway. "Serena, you're taking things out of context." She tilted her head slightly, studying him the way one studies a puzzle piece that no longer fits. "Context shapes everything," she replied. "But so does honesty." The assistant shifted back in her chair, distancing herself inch by inch, realizing she wasn't standing beside a rising star. She was standing beside someone whose entire narrative was beginning to collapse. Serena exhaled softly, then tapped the projector remote once more. "But this," she said, voice steady, "is not the final revelation." The screen went black for a moment. A long, tense silence followed. Everyone, every single person in that room, leaned forward, sensing that what came next would rewrite the entire story of who Adrian Hale truly was, and who Serena chose to become. The screen lit up again and the room seemed to shrink as a series of documents appeared. Legal filings, ownership transfers, internal memos signed months before Adrian ever learned the company was being restructured. Adrian's breath caught. His name appeared repeatedly, not as a decision-maker, but as a liability. Serena didn't speak right away. She gave the room a moment to absorb what they were seeing. Then, with a calmness that unsettled even the most seasoned executives, she said, "6 months ago, I became the primary owner of Hale Industries and its subsidiary branches. Every division, every contract, every executive decision now falls under my review." Gasps echoed softly. Even the chairman sat straighter. Adrian felt his knees weaken. He stepped forward, voice trembling. "Serena, you bought the company?" "My company?" "Our company," she corrected gently. "One you helped build, yes. But also one you placed at risk without realizing who was protecting it behind the scenes." Her eyes softened, not with affection, but with the finality of someone who made peace with the truth long ago. "I did not come here to punish you, Adrian. I came here to lead. Something this company desperately needs." His assistant sank lower in her seat, realizing she hadn't stepped into a meeting, she had stepped into a revelation. Serena turned to the board. "Effective immediately, Mr. Hale will step down from his role while a formal review is conducted. He will still receive support, but leadership must prioritize stability. No anger. No revenge. Just a poised decision from a woman reclaiming the life she was pushed out of." Adrian lowered his gaze, the weight of everything he ignored pressing down at once. He had walked into this room certain of his triumph. Yet Serena walked in ready to change the future. As she gathered her papers, the executives rose respectfully. Adrian watched her, realizing too late that true power never needs to announce itself. It simply arrives, and the world adjusts.